Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live powered by Rivals. And they're on air. There you go. I just noticed that, man. I've been sitting here for like 10 minutes and I just noticed that. Wow.
New addition to the home studio.
Awesome. That's what's up, man. Yeah, so there was a move to Rivals this Monday morning, Sunday night. I know people have a lot of feelings about that. Good, bad, indifferent. Doesn't matter. We're here to explain it to you all, but we're also here to talk Sooner sports and recruiting. So we're going to talk all about that. But first, we're going to touch and dive into the rival situation. And I guess we would be remiss if we didn't say, look, we're sorry if we couldn't say anything. We were contractually bound to not say a word to anybody. And we tried to tell certain people, but we had to be really, really, delicate about who we told and what was presented out there to people. And ironically, I was hit up by people that were hearing rumors 3 weeks prior to our move. And I said, look, we're still in a contract with 24/7. We can't say anything about anything. As far as I know, we're still with 24/7. And that's essentially how I presented it to people. And it's, I don't know, man. It's been weird. It's been really weird, Parker. But I mean, we apologize about the late notice. We weren't allowed to say anything. And we tried. I got into how would you describe it, Parker? A stern disagreement with some higher ups over at the old mothership, and they didn't like my idea of how to do it, so we had to stay true. We didn't do the negotiations on the move. Parker and I had no say in that. Like, that was a previous the previous owners did, and that by their not their fault or anything like that. It's just that that's the truth. Like, they are the ones that negotiated the how we were going to move part, and I don't know that it was presented to them that we wouldn't be able to do certain things that late until it was too late for us. So, but we had some negotiations with some other people. We negotiated 24/7 Sports. We negotiated with Rivals. And we couldn't pass up this deal because of just the money was just too good for Parker and I to pass up. It didn't make sense for us to do anything else. And with Rivals, we were allowed ownership too. And I think that was the key thing.
Yeah. It was more about control of the direction of the brand than it was about money, more so than anything else. And that's what's important for people to know, is that we want to continue building OU Insider according to our vision, and we're going to do that on the Rivals Network. But turning our attention,
returning the cardigan, people are talking about it.
Oh, and the OU Insider t-shirt. How about that? Repping the brand.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Parker has one of these. We're going to get some others made. My wife had this made, and I got she had the Rivals hat made.
Okay. Little trucker hat action. I guess, do we start transfer portal? That would seem like the logical place to go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's portal talk it, man.
Okay. So how about Jordan Tyson, former Colorado wide receiver? Got a little tongue twisted there.
Former Allen, Texas wide receiver. Yeah.
Former teammate of Michael Hawkins at Allen High School. Yes. And that is what is important to understand here, because, folks, the Hawkins family has a lot of sway in that area. And it's it's generally this way with quarterbacks. You think about the pull that Caleb Williams had. You think about the pull that Jackson Arnold had. It's going to be a similar effect with Michael Hawkins, but he's also got a dad that has trained a lot of the elite athletes in the area. So that doesn't hurt either. Now, Jordan Tyson caught 80 passes for 1,518 yards and 12 touchdowns as a senior at Allen in 2021 as the primary go-to guy for Michael Hawkins. So He gets to Colorado last year, plays on an abysmal 1-11 team that was challenged, I guess is the nice way of putting it.
Mhm.
They were a bad football team. They were a really bad football team. And offensively, they had major deficiencies. Despite it all, he rolls up 470 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns before succumbing to a season-ending injury. His last 2 games, Brandon, 5 catches for 115 yards and a touchdown against Arizona State, 5 catches for 137 yards and a touchdown against Oregon. So, kid can play, kid contributed as a true freshman at the Power 5 level. Oklahoma looks like the favorite to land Jordan Tyson. And here's what is interesting. He's got a brother, Jalen Tyson, who plays basketball or played basketball, I suppose, at Texas Tech. He's now in the transfer portal as well. And the OU basketball staff is working the angles here. And they're trying to get through to Jalen Tyson. Now, he was a double-digit scorer last year for a very good Texas Tech team. Well, not very good. A competitive Texas Tech team. There you go. But anytime you got a double-digit P5 score in the portal, he's going to have options. And one thing we know about OU basketball is they cannot offer the same NIL packages and amenities in terms of facilities that a lot of other competing programs do. So feels like Jalen Tyson is going to be a tougher pull than Jordan Tyson. But, you know, if you can chip away at those two as a collective, no pun intended, I'm not trying to go NIL there, but if you can chip away at those two in conjunction with one another between the football staff and the basketball staff, what you might end up getting is a package deal. And I don't think that's what these two are by any stretch of the imagination, but you sell them on being able to be roommates and to a certain extent teammates in that they're wearing the same school colors. Maybe, just maybe, Oklahoma ends up with both of those dudes. But for the moment, I would feel confident in saying they're the odds-on favorite to get Jordan Tyson. Not quite there with Jalen Tyson yet, but again, the OU basketball staff is not going to go down lightly there.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I know there's some people that have been asking about Keon Coleman as well, Michigan State portal wide receiver, but similar to the DB that got in the portal. I was talking, I don't remember if it was on our previous spot or if it was on Rivals, but somebody asked me about that, and I was like, Michigan State's like trying to keep them, actively trying to keep them, and they're doing the same with Coleman, and it sounds like they're really upping their NIL. And if that happens, I could totally see Coleman sticking out with Michigan State and him not going anywhere. Now, I do know he's visiting. Oh my gosh, what did he say? Me, I don't remember where he's done.
Florida
He's
State.
visiting
He's visiting
Florida State. Gosh dang, I was like, dude, it's a Florida team. Yeah, he's visiting Florida State this weekend, I believe. I was talking to him earlier today, and so there's some. Oklahoma is an option for him, but obviously Jalen Tyson, it's kind of a first come first serve type deal because the numbers are really starting to get tight. And so I don't know that Oklahoma is going to make it to getting their chance at Coleman, if that makes sense. So I do, however, agree with you on Jalen Tyson. We've been talking about it for a few days now. This thing just feels good for Oklahoma. Like you said, a variety of reasons. Hawkins, the Allen connection. I mean, if you go to Allen and Oklahoma offers you, 6 out of 10 times you're going to be a Sooner. At least that's what it seems over the last decade. So, I mean, look, we discussed, and this isn't this transfer or anything, but we discussed, speaking of Allen, they're in on a 2024 defensive end there, and one that is a name that people that Oklahoma, Texas fans kind of feel it's headed in that direction. But Zina Umeozulu, Oklahoma stopped by to see him So, I mean, I think it was kind of a twofold stop. Obviously, you're stopping to check on Zeno Mazzulo. You're checking to see, some of the young guys, but you're also, what's the word at Allen with Jalen Tyson? Like, that's kind of the deal. So you're trying to, kill two birds, one stone on those type of stops. So again, I feel like Oklahoma's in a good spot. Do I feel like they're going to get his brother? No, I don't. I don't know that they're swinging. I don't know that they're going to get him. I think that's kind of the truth of the matter.
And Mr. D said in the chat, Moser's visiting Jalen right now. That is true. The OU basketball
true,
staff
yeah.
is in home with
Yep.
Jalen Tyson tonight.
And I could be wrong. Hey, that is crow I hope I eat for you all's sake. Straight up. But I'm also not a basketball recruiting connoisseur. I know what I know just because of the connection here, and that's about it. But hey, there's another obvious connection here, and we're talking about offensive line. Oklahoma's been trying to land another offensive line as far as the portal goes. And this time they've gone, particularly after Appalachian State, Troy Everett. And I think it's a Virginia Tech battle with Oklahoma. Like, that's what it is. Virginia Tech for the longest time. And it just seemed like they were the leader. And that was even after he visited Oklahoma. Because I talked to some people after the spring game. They're like, we feel really good, but he's a country boy. He likes the mountains. He likes, being up in that area, East Coast. Virginia Tech just kind of feels that way. Now, Bill Bedenbaugh, on the other hand, and I think I speak for everybody when it comes to him, is he knows how to develop. And if you're an offensive lineman, especially one that's as young as him, and you have some years to progress and develop and get better, that has to be appealing when you look at just what Bedenbaugh's done for offensive linemen over the last, decade of plus. And that started to resonate a little bit with him. And so now you see this head-to-head battle that looked like it was almost 100% going to Virginia Tech's way. And now it's kind of flipped on its end, and Oklahoma feels pretty good about where they stand. And we were supposed to find out potentially today. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the deal is. So I don't know what the holdup is. It may happen while we're live. I don't know. Like, he may announce between both of them. Like, we feel good about Oklahoma, but it's not a done deal. It's not a done deal. That's something we have to really, really harp on. Not a done deal, Parker.
No, not by any means. And there have been questions in the chat about other players that the Sooners have offered in the transfer portal. Connor Neer, the linebacker out of Ferris State, Division II champions, is a guy who's been mentioned. Look, he's local to Michigan, so he has a Michigan State offer. I know that much. He's got several other Power 5 offers. OU is in play there for Connor Neer, but too early to say whether or not there's
some buzz that he may visit this week at some point.
He already visited.
Okay, he did visit.
He visited. He was in town for a visit this past weekend. So
okay,
again, you're visiting Oklahoma. You're very clearly highly interested, but little too
the same
early.
person that told me about Tyson when I reported on Scoop late told me Connor Neer was visiting, but they weren't sure the day. And so I held off on that. So I didn't even realize he visited already, because I stopped paying attention to it at that point and just started focusing on Everett and Tyson. So
yep, he was in town, and then at least I think he was in town. Now you have me second guessing all of this. I assumed he was in town. Well, I didn't assume. I thought I was told he was in town. Maybe I have him confused with someone else. I don't know. A lot going on in my brain right now. A lot of portal activity the last few days for the Sooners. But defensive back, they've offered a few defensive backs in the portal. Feels like they're looking for one additional corner to kind of buttress that room in the aftermath of Jaden Davis's departure, because OU feels pretty good about where they are at safety and the depth that they have in that room and the talent that they have in that room, especially with the rapid ascension of Peyton Bowen. Cornerback,
right,
still has its question marks because you don't have anybody outside of Woody Washington that has started a game at the Power 5 level or started a game at the collegiate level, for that matter. I guess if you want to count Kendall Dolby's JUCO experience, you can, but none of those guys have made an FBS start. I'll just put it that way at the cornerback position. So while you do have a lot of guys that you're excited about, and while you're certainly intrigued by what Josiah Wagner and Makari Vickers flashed in the spring, you're well advised at this point to bring in a veteran that you know you can rely on if, for whatever reason, the other four guys are a total bust in 2023. Now, I consider that unlikely, and I think whoever Oklahoma were to bring in would face stiff competition from Gentry Williams and Josiah Wagner and Makari Vickers and Kendall Dolby for that starting job. But I was talking to somebody today that brought up the linebacker room, and this is where Connor Neer comes into play, right? And they mentioned to me, if Danny Stutzman were to get injured, God forbid, all of a sudden you're looking at an inside linebacker room comprised of exactly nobody who has ever made a start at the collegiate level. So you got issues. Not necessarily, you don't necessarily got issues, because I think there is a ton of talent in that linebacker room, but you just don't know. Right? You don't know how soon it's going to click for some of these guys. And you don't know if what Kobe McKenzie showed in spring is going to carry over to the fall. And you don't know how ready cognitively Jaron Kanik is going to be to play 60, 70 snaps a game. And you don't know if Phil Picciotti is going to be able to make the reads in real time on a Saturday in the fall for you to be able to rely on him at that position. So that's kind of the reason why both at linebacker and at cornerback, the Sooners are kind of putting out feelers to portal players at the position.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard anything on Trey Amos at Louisiana?
I have not. I've not heard anything yet on Trey Amos. That was an offer that Oklahoma made yesterday.
Yep, last night. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nothing yet on that front.
I missed the call on the person that I'd called originally to talk to him, and then I missed them, and then we played phone tag, and we still. Go ahead. Many
in the chat have brought up the fact that he of Muleshoe heritage has made an offer to Bryant Wesco. Worried? Concerned?
No. I mean, I guess if Dennis Simmons is recruiting him, I think that would, I guess, make some concern. But I've personally talked to some people around that know the USC situation at quarterback following Caleb Williams. And let's just say Malachi Nelson has not impressed, like, the way that they, like, obviously I guess they basically said that dude better put on some weight.
He's skinny,
or he's going to have some problems at the next level. And this came from people that know the quarterback and know quarterbacking at college and all that type of stuff. And they weren't glowing, and they were kind of worried about everything following CW. So,
yeah, I'll be honest.
Yeah, go ahead.
There were two Cali quarterbacks that in that 2023 class, well, three, to be honest, that in my eyes had a lot of similarities in Nico Yamaleava, Malachi Nelson, and Jaden Rashada.
They're all skinny.
And they all are really skinny, and that's kind of what I was getting at. Now, Nico Yamaleava has enough arm talent. He's got enough of a gun that I'm not convinced it matters, man. But to be honest, I preferred Rashada to Nelson just because it felt like he could put more zip on the ball and he could place it better than Malachi Nelson, at least what I saw in person on the 7v7 circuit from both of them. There was actually out at overtime in Vegas last July. Travis Davidson was there. He knows. Malachi Nelson got benched. He got benched by SFE. And so, yeah, and this is why, and not to get too far off on a tangent here, but this is part of the reason why I don't think Lincoln Riley's going to be at Southern California long. I really don't, because there's going to be a drop off from Caleb Williams to Malachi Nelson. Granted, there'd be a drop off from Caleb Williams to anybody, but I get the sense the drop off is going to be steeper than people understand.
Yes, that's kind of the sense I got there. Just a quick update on Everett. I don't know that the announcement was going to happen. So I think it's going to be held off. I'll just say that.
Gotcha.
So,
Taylor in the super chat says, "What's up, fellas? Just want to say I'm happy for you guys on the move. I followed you guys over. Keep up the good work." Appreciate you, Taylor. Very much appreciate you. And for those of you that watch this show on a regular basis and were subscribed to OU Insider on the old network, there is a process for transferring your subscription over. DM me on Twitter. I've been answering folks' questions all week. So if you want the rundown on how you can transfer your subscription over at no additional cost, shoot me a DM. We'll talk it out. But if you haven't been subscribed to OU Insider in the past, now would be a really good time to jump on board, because stuff's happening and we're keeping you covered wall to wall. More juice coming tonight on a 4-star edge target in the 2024 class for Oklahoma. So stay tuned for that.
Oh, yeah. Oklahoma's in a good spot.
And Brandon dropped some juice earlier today on a different 4-star edge target.
Oh, crap. You're talking about
Yes.
You're talking about Gilmer? Is that what we're hitting at here?
You're not supposed to drop.
No, I mean, nobody. Yeah, but you haven't told anybody what it is. The name is irrelevant. Actually, the name actually helps you if somebody wants to know about them.
Fair enough. Wyatt Gilmore.
There you go. Yeah.
Little nugget on Wyatt Gilmore coming this evening.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The name I draw. Yeah. Okay. So here it is. We'll talk a little Kellen Lindstrom. Let's talk about it. Like, it's already out, right? People are out. I can tell you that people that I talked to today were just utterly shocked that it leaked, because we had talked about it. Was it Monday that I called you about it? And I was like, dude, this is getting interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I believe it was yesterday in the 2 for Tuesdays column that I mentioned. OU's in a much better spot for Kellen Lindstrom than people realize right now.
Yeah. Well, he went silent Sunday night on people. And so I talked to some sources on Monday, and I had no idea that he went silent on everybody. Like, at that point, Parker and I were oblivious to it all. And so the source calls and he says, "Hey, like, bro, you've got to check this out. Like, what's the deal here? It's a 2-team battle, blah, 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 blah." And so Parker and I started calling around and stuff like that. And like, he legitimately has cut off communications with Tennessee and Oklahoma completely and is not talking to anybody. Obviously, it sounds like a decision could come.
And that's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
read between the lines. Kid's not talking to anybody. What is the kid trying to do?
Yeah. Could come at the end of this weekend, or at the end of this week, potentially. But there's more to it on OU Insider. So I don't want to give away everything, because our members pay for that. But I mean, like, it's let's just say things are getting interesting as far as defensive line recruiting goes. And because once one domino falls, the other ones start to get a little antsy. And I think that's where you're going to see, like, the Jonah or Joseph Jonah Jones of the world, and even potentially, the Williams, the Wineries of the world, kind of think about their timelines a little bit more, because Jonah is an August 1st guy right now. And he's told me that specifically 3 or 4 times. The catch-22 of that is everybody kind of knows where he's going. Like, it's not a secret. The dude is visiting Oklahoma twice between now and the Champion Barbecue, where he's going to take his official visit. So he's not doing that. I asked him, I go, "You got any other visits outside that?" He's like, "Nah, just a couple of officials. I'm going to Oklahoma a couple times." And I was like, dude, the whole follow the visits with him. So unless it's David Hicks, as people make jokes, follow the visits, unless it's David Hicks. So we all got egg on our face on that one. But yeah, I think dominoes are going to start falling, Parker, once that happens. And we're not projecting like, oh, dominoes are going to fall all in May. It's going to be a process over the next 2.5 months. But the next 2.5 months, what you see today is going to be stark different than what you see now as far as the class goes. It is going to be something to behold if the trends keep happening. And that's not hyperbole. I think there's a couple of players that Oklahoma, people perceive Oklahoma leads or they're in this, that, or the other, but they don't have enough spots for all those people. So it becomes a numbers game. And obviously Oklahoma can't win all of them. And that's never going to happen. But I still think the defensive line class for 2024 has a chance to be downright special. Just downright special. At least on paper.
Yeah. You want to tell people when they can expect your full 2024 class predictions?
Yeah, by Friday.
On OUinsider.com?
Yeah, by Friday. By
There
Friday. I'm not going to put a timestamp on it by Friday, but by Friday. I'm still trying to delve out who I feel is what and what right now. Like on my bingo card, when I first started putting it together, because Parker and I even had this discussion the other day, Lindstrom was not on my card. So I've had to go back and reflect a little bit on where I'm at here with a couple of positions. So,
but we talked about this, Brandon. We talked about this on the live stream last week. And at that point, it wasn't even apparent. Like it was not apparent that Kellen Lindstrom was beginning to lean Oklahoma. But one of the things we did mention last week on the live, and this goes to show you pay attention to what you can in the recruiting game. And generally, the perceptions will tell a lot of the story. What we had mentioned on this live stream last week was that at the spring game, the OU staff spent a ton of time on Kellen Lindstrom, and Brent Venables spent a ton of time on Kellen Lindstrom.
Yep.
And it was then that I realized, just being down there on the field and seeing Venables chat the kid up and Chavis chat the kid up, and after the game, Chavis and Bates with his family, it was then that I put 2 and 2 together, because Lindstrom had not been a guy that we had been talking about, like you were saying, but that's when I realized, oh, he's a priority. And this staff thinks they got a legit shot at landing him, because you don't spend that much time and you don't invest that much of your precious leeway at an event like that when you have so many recruits in town. You don't spend that much time on a guy that you're not very convinced you can land. And based on the way that things have begun to trend since Lindstrom was in town for the spring game, it seems that the OU staff knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that was kind of the key to you and I, that he was becoming a bigger player, but I still didn't think it was one of those things, that bigger player, that movement's happening that quickly. People are talking about Sammy Brown. And he's coming on Champion Barbecue. I'm pretty positive we reported that on the old site. Almost positive we did.
We did.
Yeah. I said he was going to be, I said he was visiting, for the Champion Barbecue for a couple weeks now. But I got a story coming on him too, because I talked to him this week. And look, Oklahoma, don't get your hopes up. I'm going to say that. Do not get your hopes up. Like, the chances of you getting him are like 20%. That's like legitimately 20%. That's that. And I may be stretching a little bit.
I would say, if anything, you're over.
Hey, I'm trying to be nice here. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be upfront with everybody, but I'm trying to be nice about it. Having said that, Oklahoma weirdly feels confident about it. And it's an odd confidence. It kind of has that Colton Vasek feel when they started making a run at him, where you're like, no, it's not going to happen. And I'm going to say it's not going to happen until it happens. Again, I would rather egg be on my face for that and eat crow than come out and get y'all's hopes up and crush you. So it's not going to happen. But the things that he's told me kind of coincide with what Oklahoma sources have said about him. And it's getting weird where I'm like, dude, are they just like talking to talk? Because this doesn't add up. You live 15 minutes from Georgia. Like literally Jefferson, Georgia is 15 minutes from Athens. You live 45 minutes from Clemson. Your uncle is the cheer coach. You grew up going to camps there. I get that you're super tight with Venables, Chavis, Bates, all those guys. I get that Roof recruited your dad out of high school and you have a tight relationship there. And don't get me wrong, he's all about relationships, Parker. Mm-hmm. All about relationships. But it still doesn't make sense because is he going to walk away from two-time defending national champ 15 minutes down the road that he went to the parade, literally the national championship parade, he's there as a guest, or 45 minutes away where his whole family is, Furman, where his dad went to college and all of his family went to college, have some weird connection with Clemson or the people, everybody at Furman knows everybody at Clemson type deal, he says. I just can't see it, especially with his dad being a high school coach. I cannot see it happening. But he talks up Oklahoma, and people around Norman talk up him and their chances like it's legit. He went as far to say that the visit that he took this spring to Oklahoma was the best visit he's ever been on. And he said it wasn't close. So Oklahoma's doing something right. It's just they would have to go drop a Bill Gates type NIL bag, in my opinion, on his front freaking door for him to show up in Norman in the fall of 2024. That's my opinion on it. And I hope I'm wrong.
So what you're saying here, Brandon, is that Tim Headington needs to be the lead recruiter.
Tim Headington, I mean, Gerald McCoy, trying to think of who, I mean, how many, Clay Bennett, like, go drop all the billionaires. I essentially, I would probably, the owner of Continental Oil would probably be the biggest. And I can't remember his name. So
Tim B in the chat says, I'm not saying we're getting him, but you say him going to OU doesn't make sense. Counterpoint, Brent MF Venables.
No. That's fair. It's funny, but it's fair because the people at Oklahoma say, hey, if they were like 5 hours closer to the east, it would be a no-brainer. The kid would be in Norman because instead of a 11-hour drive, it would be like a 6.5-hour drive for him. And that makes all the difference in the world. I don't know why 4.5 hours, 5 hours makes a difference, but it makes all the difference in the world to these families. I get it. But Oklahoma's taking a swing and they're taking big swings at it. He's coming to the Champion Barbecue. I have a feeling we're going to get surprised. And I'm not saying it's going to be Brown because that'd be stupid.
So you're saying it's going to be Dominic McKinley then?
That's kind of where I was going with it.
Oh, okay.
I got a note coming on him, by the way. So I keep saying that. I keep procrastinating because other stuff keeps happening. That's actually more, time strenuous. But
Nuggets.
Yeah, Oklahoma's in a good spot with him. I'll say this. Do I think they got the South Carolina defensive line coach is now their defensive line coach at LSU. He's going to make a run at him, obviously. But Oklahoma in that culture fits what his family is all about. And that may be the biggest sticking point of all. It's kind of scary because Lafayette is only like 30 minutes from Baton Rouge.
A lot of people in the chat asking about the linebacker position, Brandon.
Harold Ham,
And
yeah.
obviously, we just spent a good deal of time talking about Sammy Brown. And you have to keep the expectations realistic as far as Sammy Brown is concerned. Peyton Pierce is pretty solidly committed to Ohio State, and it does not seem like his mind is changing anytime soon. So what does that leave Oklahoma with? Well, we've mentioned some names in the past. Braden Platt is probably atop that short list for the time
Champion
being.
barbecue visit.
Yep. Then you have Ty Anthony Smith in the mix, Jordan Lockhart in the mix, Kamori House potentially in the mix. So it certainly does. And I understand why we're getting so many questions, because there is always that one position group where it seems like you get to a certain point in the cycle. And I remember being in this exact spot with the tight end room at this time last year. You get to a certain point in the cycle and you're left wondering, okay, who is there? Who does Oklahoma realistically end up with? And
so who does OU end up in the 2024 class at tight end?
You know my answer. I would think everyone knows.
It's the same one I have too, but I'm not saying it's.
Yeah.
Y'all like 5 stars? We'll just
give you a hint. He's not in the class of 2024 right now.
Yep.
Mongo says, Parker, Brandon, stop ignoring my super chat. I got to scroll back up and find Mongo's super chat. Oh, here we go. Mongo. Here we go.
Really apologize.
Acerbic language is frowned upon in the chat. Shout out to David Stone Sr.
Acerbic language. They're still joking about that in the welcome. You don't like stern language, huh? Little hard, crass language. Yes. Did he say David Stone shout out? We got to shout out Ricardo LeBlanc. We always do, because he watches and he texts you and tell you watched it and he enjoyed it every time. Whoa, Travis Davidson. Well, you know what?
Oh, soccer.
That's actually a good thing for Oklahoma. That actually is good because she stays close to home. That could have turned out in so many different ways. So you'll take it. It's not good that she's not going to Oklahoma, which is really weird that we're talking women's soccer number 1 right now, but that's what 5 stars do. Number 2, do you see all these big name soccer girls that have just committed to Oklahoma since the hire, or recommitted or whatever? And she's the lone one with the 5-star boyfriend in Norman. That is a little different and kind of unexpected. It was almost, it's kind of funny at the end of the day, because she coerced him to go to Oklahoma, and
now she's not there.
She's not there.
Wow.
It's kind of funny and ironic. I feel bad for him, but it's funny, like, just because the irony in it. What were we talking? We were talking about linebacker. That is another position, Parker, that I am just like dumbfounded of where that thing could go. Like, if you were to ask us right now, who's going to be in the class of the linebacker, we'll give you some names, but we're just guessing at this point. Like, nobody knows who's going to be in the class for Oklahoma at linebacker. You have a good feel who's going to be the wide receiver group. You have a good feel of the offensive line group. You have a good feel tight end. You have a good feel at running back, even with the Caden Durham situation. Like, or at least you feel like Xavier Robinson and potentially Taylor Tatum. And I think Peoples is the other one, right? That Oklahoma's making a run at. Correct?
Peoples is committed
Not
to
Peoples, but oh my gosh, the kid from
Mizell.
Well, Mizell, yeah, but I don't know that Oklahoma's pushing real hard there, because I think he's one of those.
It's pretty clear they're not.
Yeah, and I told everybody I didn't think that he would end up in the class when everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, he loves Oklahoma. He decommitted from Georgia." I was like, "Dude, slow down," because I don't think Oklahoma's pushing that hard for him. But like, you know, all these guys, right? You feel like you know what the defensive line is going to be. You feel like the safety, pretty good idea who's going to be the safety. You have a pretty good idea who's going to be the cornerback. You don't know linebacker. That's the one spot where you're like, geez, I have no idea. Like, it's really weird. Here's how weird it is, Parker. Oklahoma's trying to get Ty Anthony Smith to come up on the Champion Barbecue weekend. And he already has that date set up for USC. I know people hate to hear that, but that's what it is. So Oklahoma's tried to ask him, why don't you just flip it around and go to USC then? And he's flat out told me it's a 2-team race, USC, Oklahoma. Well, here's Oklahoma's stance on it. They're only holding one big weekend in June. They're going to hold where they'll have like 5 or 6 here, 6 or 7 there, like on the other 3 weekends. Because I think that last weekend, they're not even going to do anything. At least that's their plan right now. I think they're doing 3 weekends, and then they're going to do the big Party in the Palace in July. But Oklahoma's sitting there saying, dude, either pick this weekend. Like, they've kind of drawn the line in the sand with him. Now, we'll see if Oklahoma budges on that. But I have a hard time believing Brent Venables is just going to willingly bow down to that, knowing who he is as a recruiter and as a coach. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Yeah. Just hard to believe. Anyways. Yeah, whoa. Could you imagine Bowen going? Somebody said, watch Emma pull Bowen. Could you imagine Peyton going to playing for SMU?
He'd be all conference. There's no question about conference.
I mean, he's going to play in the NFL regardless of where he's at, but he would have a much better chance of being a first rounder at Oklahoma. But it is kind of funny to think. Is there any questions in there that you want to get to?
Jordan saying, did I miss the Keon Brown rumors? And look, they've
been rumors for months.
Yeah, that's not really new. And it's something that we talked about long ago, and nothing has really changed since then. Look, when Oklahoma took Keon Brown's commitment last summer, they were aware that there was going to be
some work needed done.
There were going to be some challenges in terms of getting him to qualify academically. But with that said, Keon has done what he's needed to do to this point, and it looks right now like he's going to be academically eligible at Oklahoma, that he's going to qualify. Now, granted, and this is why this whole conversation is somewhat premature, there's still 3 weeks left in his spring semester at his high school down in Florida. So, as we all know from our school days, a lot can change in the final 3 weeks of the semester. So
he can retest a lot of times. A lot of teachers allow you to retest, and they'll do the average, right? Like, there's a lot of things that can be done.
Just want to reemphasize, it is something that OU has been aware of. Mm-hmm. This is not a new development by any means. This is something OU has been aware of and is continuing to monitor. Keon has been locked in with Oklahoma from the get-go, and he's been taking care of business, putting himself in position to qualify academically. So if he shows up in June, great. That's the expectation right now. If for whatever reason he doesn't, well, then you can kind of put 2 and 2 together as to what happened. But it's not anything novel or surprising right now from the Oklahoma end with regard to Keon Brown.
No, you nailed it. Perfectly stated. It's Dabzo. I don't know if that's how he want it. Dabzo. I don't know if that's how you want it pronounced. I think OU pulls Braden Platt and Jordan Lockhart for the linebacker class. Sammy Brown is a possibility, but I'm giving it 30%. He commits. You're more generous than me on the commit with Sammy Brown, and I thought I was being generous with the 20%, but I like your linebacker class. It seems like the most logical duo at this point, in my opinion, but we'll see. I'm gonna do some more digging around here over the next 48 hours before I throw out my initial class prediction for our stint at Rivals. So, Daybezo. Okay. Thank you for the pronunciation clarification. What is it
Ryan
called
said
when
send
what,
Keon to O Trip to get them grades.
Here's the funny thing. Like when I was a senior in high school, I took classes at OCCC, and there were literally like a lot of OU students that would go there because they said the classes were cheaper and they could save money and they could be an OU student with the student card and ID and all that type of stuff and still take a few classes at OCCC just because to save themselves some money and their families some money. So we mock on it, but there's OU students that go there. I don't know what that says about the OU education, but it's allowed. And I guess they like work hand in hand with each other as far as credits transferring over. And I know that has nothing to do with football. Just a little funny statement on the OCCC.
Christie said, "Oh, you used to send kids to NEO." Yes, they did. That was the Switzer days, I want to say.
Yeah, well, he did. He sent them to my gosh, Camden University. Is that what it is in Lawton? Is it Camden? Because they used to have
Cameron.
They used to have a stellar football program, and he would send dudes down there and then send them back up. That shows you how old I am. I just turned 40, and the fact I remember that is crazy.
Travis says, Jordan Tyson future casts, chop chop. Well, Grill Boy, we regret to inform you that we cannot actually enter future casts for transfer portal players.
Yeah, that's something we are talking with Rivals about fixing like ASAP. There's a lot of things. Let's get into that real quick, Parker. There's a lot of things that we're working on here. And talking to the Rivals higher ups with, and really, and to their credit, they're working with us. So, and you're going to see some changes as far as like, there should be a big announcement soon for the Southeast correspondent, and one that everybody's going to know. Everybody's going to know it. So, that person's name, they're going to know that person's name. And so we're excited about that. And I think they're hiring a new kind of Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Kansas. What's the other state, Parker, that's involved in
Arkansas.
that? Arkansas. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of changes as far as national and regional guys go. And we're excited about that. And we're going to push hard for the rankings. Like, we're going to do our part for you all. Like, that's what we will do. Are we going to be successful every time? No, but we will do our part to try to make sure that everything works out as best it can for you guys, because without you all, we don't exist. And
well, we would still exist. We just wouldn't have the
job.
We
wouldn't have the job. So that's something that we're very adamant about. We obviously can't thank you all enough for everybody, the thousands that switched over with us. We love you and thank you. And the thousands that stayed. The ups and downs, the first 72 hours, and whatever happens in the future with that, regardless of all the banter, the anger, and you all had every right to have your feelings because you guys spent 20 years or 10 or 5 or whatever on that site. And here we come, and you guys don't like the change, and we get that. But what we do promise is that we're going to make it as much like you've always known it as we can. And we're going to provide information as much as we can. And hopefully that's on a daily basis so that you all understand that what you pay for, you get that, you get the community, you get everything. And hopefully we find a happy medium and a common ground. And I think we're getting closer and closer every day already, Parker. So we really, really do feel blessed and appreciative of everybody, like wholeheartedly.
Yes, we do appreciate you guys immensely. And look, OU Insider is
Yes,
still
Parker
OU
webcam
Insider.
funding.
Still got me, Brandon, and Jesse bringing all the juice. Spencer behind the scenes doing all the fantastic work that he does for our social media, producing the YouTube stream, producing quick slants. So the Daring Pastry 1313 in the chat did say, I did research trying to figure out why Parker's camera software keeps cutting out. LOL. I couldn't find much. Yeah, I'm as baffled as you are. That's not supposed to happen. I don't know why it does. I don't know if it's a camera thing. I don't know if it's a computer thing. It happens a lot. I get very frustrated with it, but you know what? It is what it is. We'll get past it one of these days.
Does it ever do that when you're on your lives? Or not your lives, but when you're recording, like with Spencer?
With like
Or Jesse?
when we're doing quick slants?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it'll do it. But those are short enough, i.e., 8 to 10 minutes. Those are short enough that we can usually just start over and re-record and work around the camera issue. Travis Davidson says Travis has been future casted to Rivals. Yes. Come for the juice from me and Brandon. Stay for Grill Boy. Doing Grill Boy things.
Yep. All right. Have we been on here over an hour already or no? I can't remember. Doesn't matter.
We're getting close to an hour. We did have a few more questions, a few more things that we could hit here.
Go ahead. Let's do it.
Any young tight ends making waves as far as progress? Llewellyn, Helms, question mark. Well,
injured.
the only two healthy tight ends by the end of spring ball at Oklahoma were Austin Stogner and Josh Fanuel. Even Blake Smith, who played in the spring game and caught a touchdown pass with a friggin' boxing glove on his hand. Even Blake Smith had a club and he was banged up. And Helms and Llewellyn didn't participate in spring ball at all because they were injured. Cade McIntyre is getting to campus in June. I am of the opinion, and perhaps it is just my Nebraska homerism, I don't know, but I am very firmly of the opinion that Cade McIntyre is going to be pleasantly surprising to some people in terms of what he brings to the table. That is a very good athlete. So I know many have expressed concerns about tight end. I am one of those that is not concerned about tight end, especially when you look ahead to who Oklahoma has the opportunity to land in the 2024 class. And also, I just think Caden Helms and Jason Llewellyn are both going to be dudes, and they're different dudes. Helms is more of a downfield, more of a speed guy, more of a finesse tight end. Jason Llewellyn is just a big, strong country boy from Texas that can move bodies, man. And so he'll be used a lot as a blocker. He's got nice hands as well, and he moves pretty well for somebody that's upwards of 260 pounds these days. So I like what Oklahoma has at tight end. I'm not of the opinion that they need to add any additional ammo there.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Oklahoma agrees, or you would have seen them go after. There were several tight ends they could have gone after and potentially got if they really wanted to push that narrative. And I just don't think it's worthwhile, to be honest. I think it's kind of productive, especially, yes, they're young, they're inexperienced behind him, but Caden Helms, like you said, is that dude. And Cade McIntyre has a chance to be the most athletic of them all when he arrives. And that's saying something because Caden Helms is very, very athletic. Also, they expect Austin Stogner to have a massive year. They feel like he is the best tight end in the Big 12, and that's arguable. But he's already proven that when he was here originally, that he could be one of the best. 2020, he was an amazing tight end for Oklahoma. And so he took some time to come back, obviously the infection, the injury, all that type of stuff. But by the end of last year, people I've talked to around him said he was finally back to his normal self, running, didn't have kind of hitch in his giddy up, if you will, didn't favor it, didn't do anything. And Parker and I, that was one of the first things we looked at. Remember, we walked around the thing, we're like, let's see how well Stogner moves. And he took off, man. And was running routes, cutting fluently. He may be a little bit faster. He ran a 4.6 when they did the timing for the sprint for the winter. And so I think you're going to get the best version of Austin Stogner that Oklahoma's had. And for him to come back, I think that's going to be one of the cooler stories in college football if he ends up having the year that everybody expects him to. Because that's pretty neat. Like, I just love the university. I wanted to come back. I think that's cool. And I think Oklahoma fans, it's going to be very endearing to Oklahoma fans in general, especially if he becomes a star.
SEC football says DJ Graham and Stogner were more impressive in the spring game. And yeah, DJ Graham had a couple real impressive plays in the spring game. And, with Oklahoma getting ready to add another wide receiver via the portal here, I'm not sure how much of a role there is for DJ Graham this fall, at least immediately. But what I do know is he makes plays like he made in the spring game. He's going to see the field. Anybody who makes plays like that, going to see the field at Oklahoma.
So the funny thing is somebody said when we were talking about tight ends, don't forget about Bevel.
Oh, man. Brutal.
Harsh, Mr. D. Harsh. Okay. Before we close this thing out, and obviously we'll still answer a couple questions, but I want you all to make sure we got a new Facebook page. We had that big one that okay, so you're going to see our frustrations here a little bit. We've turned that Oklahoma thing into a freaking monster on Facebook with like almost 400,000 followers. And so we're going to do the same thing on this Facebook. So if you have Facebook, if you're not a Facebook person, we totally get it. I'm not a Facebook person. I'm on it because my wife posts pictures and that's about it. But facebook.com/OU Insider. That's all you have to do. You go there, you can give us a like, you can give us a follow. We'd much appreciate it because we're going to be throwing some free content up there for you guys and stuff for you to follow, a banter, another wall for you to ride on and debate during college football season, all that good stuff. And then go to our new tag on Instagram is OU Insider Official. OU Insider Official. That's it. It's just one word, OU Insider Official. And obviously, if you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please subscribe. We're almost to 10,000 in like 5 or 6 months, which we're really stoked about. We really appreciate you guys doing that. Finally, we'd be remiss if you are an OU Insider subscriber and you were before we left OU Insider. All you have to do is go to Rivals, create a free account. Then you go to your 24/7 account. The top right, go to your profile, the account. It'll pull down the settings and it'll say whatever the account, your subscription. You click on that and scroll down to the bottom. You take a screenshot of that. It should say started and it should say end. You email that to Parker. Do you remember the email? Because I'm forgetting it off the top of my head. I have to go find it. But
OU Insider Offer at gmail.com.
Yeah, OU Insider Offer at gmail.com.
Now,
go ahead.
If you go 24, 48 hours without getting a response email, first order of business is to check your junk folder because there have been some people whose emails have ended up in their junk folder for one reason or another. So check the junk folder. You don't see it there. DM one of us. Let us know. Take care of it. We will take care of it personally.
Yep. Make sure you get it, and we'll get a hold of the people that are in charge of that stuff and make sure we're trying to make it as easy as possible for y'all. And I know there's some hoops that you have to do, but it's because people would want to make up stuff. So we had to make it pretty thorough on how you can switch over. And we've had thousands come over with us. That site is one of the largest sites on Rivals. Now, like it exploded, and we can't thank you guys enough. Like, super blessed to have you guys. Just humbled actually that you guys would still follow us over there. We were one of the largest on 24/7 Sports. That was really hard to leave. Really, really hard to leave. So we feel like the best days for OU Insider to come. Parker and I have some really cool ideas coming for you guys. And the more people that subscribe, the quicker those things happen. And I know I've had some people hit us up about these shirts. That is one of the things that is about to happen. So be on the lookout for that here in the coming months. Lastly, if you aren't a subscriber, come give us a try. That's all you have to do. Give us a try. If you are a month-to-month person on OU Insider over at 24/7 Sports, you can sign up for the free month and then do month-to-month then. I mean, it's the same thing. But if you're not subscribed, we're giving you a free month right now. We're going to have more promos down the line. I don't know when they're going to take place, but if you want to get caught up and make sure you're a part of the May, June, July rush of recruiting leading up to fall camp, now's the time. We hope to have you guys on it. We hope to continue to grow. We hope we continue to provide service and news for you guys each and every day, because it's a blessing to be able to do that for real, like straight up. All right, Parker, is there any closing questions now that we got that out of the way that people want to ask?
No, I don't think so. But again, check out OU Insider on social media. Follow. It's a real easy way to, at the very least, stay abreast on a surface level of everything that's going on. You can follow Brandon on Twitter at @bdrum_rivals. Follow me at Parker Thune. Subscribe to this channel. Yep. Obviously, if you want all the juice, just go to ouinsider.com, grab a subscription for a few bucks a month. We'd love to have you. It's an awesome community. It's been an interesting clash of cultures between the incumbents over there and our OU Insider crew that has followed us throughout the years. So needless to say, there's been some dissension the first few days, but everybody's kind of getting to terms with one another, starting to cultivate a new, very motley community over there. And it's been more fun than not. I'll say that. Yeah. So we appreciate all you guys.
We actually were joking about that in text earlier today about, you know what, man, like
it's actually pretty fun.
It's fun. Like the ex rivals guys, that community adds some flavor to, and it's fun to banter back and forth with them. I enjoy it. I'll readily admit, Parker, I was on it until like 2014, 2013. Whenever I started working in the industry, I kind of flailed out of it, but I was on it and really, really loved it. And I was a very vocal person on that community. So I understand. I call it the jungle for a reason, but it's fun. Like if you can handle some ribbing and some joking around and people being straight up honest with you, you're going to enjoy it. Plus the info. But the community is tight knit. Like I think somebody talked about it. If there's something that happened to somebody on that community, they will come to your aid and help you raise money, do whatever. So I like it a lot. I like where we're at. I enjoy it. And I hope everybody else does too. And I hope we continue to enjoy it all together on ouinsider.com. All right, Parker. Shoelace sooner. It was Couve 23 back in the day. Yeah, almost a decade ago, man. It's been a while. All right.
Hang on.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Why was that your username? You need to explain to people.
And are people asking me why?
No, I just need to know for my own curiosity.
Okay, so my great-grandfather on my mom's side. So my grandpa is Drake. So Sir Francis S. Drake is one of my great relatives down the line. I don't know. We have like this oil painting and whatever of him. But the other side is Coovers, Coover. They're German. So the Drumm side is my dad's side, obviously, and that's Native American, mixed with a little Dutch and Irish and all that type of stuff. And so, but yeah, Coover, I was named after my great-grandfather, who my mom was severely close with until he passed away right before I was born. So in honor of him, Brandon Coover Drumm.
There you go. All right.
Yep. And I wore 23 in high school, and not in high school, but all the way up to high school because of
Michael
Jeffrey Jordan.
Nice.
Yep. So even though I didn't
I
play
guess
for
it's
him,
a wrap.
play like him. Yep. All right. Yep. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live. Again, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. If you're not subscribed to OU Insider, now under the Rivals mantra, we would love to have you. We have grown. And it's been fun. And we're going to have some more information for you over the next 48 hours that you are going to love. And so it's free for the first month if you want to just do that. If you are an OU Insider member or were over at 24/7 Sports, please do what I told you earlier. Go up to the top right profile, click accounts, scroll down, take a screenshot of your start and finish of your subscription terms over there at the old mothership. And you send it to, is it ouinsideroffer@gmail.com. You send that screenshot to ouinsideroffer@gmail.com. You go create a Rivals profile. They send you back an email, and then they comp you up until your term ends over at the other place. And you get OU Insider for free until your other subscription ends. And then you get to choose between the two. That's all we're asking. Give us a chance. We hope to have you guys. Also, what is it, Parker, for the Facebook is www.facebook.com/OU Insider, and Instagram is OU Insider Official. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe to all those channels. At Parker Thune on Twitter, at @BDrum_Rivals on Twitter. All right, that's going to do it. We hope you guys have a blessed night. We will be back next week to talk a whole lot more, and there may be some good news to talk about. We'll see if it happens between now and then. But that's going to do it for Parker Thune, for Spencer Forsythe on the board. My name is Brandon Drumm. You guys have a blessed day.